Hey, what's up? We are still hanging out in Hebrews chapter 12. We're talking about the thing that's got you trapped. You're like, I didn't even know I was trapped. Well, that's what I'm talking about. You need to jump in this video and we need to talk about something. All right, I'll see you in there.
Welcome to the Equipped Disciple channel. My name is Rick McClatchy. I will be your host. We are here to be and to make disciples of Jesus, and we do that through daily devos, through Sunday sermons, and through other discipleship resources. We are here to equip you.
All right, what is happening, my people? What is happening? We're going to talk today about the thing that's got you trapped. The thing that's got you trapped. We're in Hebrews chapter 12. We're in verse 1 because there's so much stuff to talk about in verse 1. We just haven't made it out yet. And so I know it's crazy. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the first verse. Therefore, since we also have such a large cloud of witnesses surrounding us, let us lay aside every hindrance and the sin that so easily ensnares us. Let us run with endurance the race that lies before us. So, it's just so important for us to see, to understand the incredible examples of faith that we have to look at, that we have as models for us to follow after, to imitate. Because earlier in the book of Hebrews, it talked about, hey, I want you to be imitators of those that are following Christ. And so it says we have this great cloud of witnesses surrounding us. So then let us lay aside every hindrance. And we talked about 8 different hindrances. It was by far not even close to exhaustive of a list. No, just a little sampling, some pretty big categories. We talked about being overly busy and, overcommitting yourself. And we talked about social media kind of stuff where you can be kind of addicted to social media and it can be a hindrance. And we talked about, bitterness, unresolved bitterness kind of stuff. We just talked about a lot of stuff that can weigh you down, that can hinder you, that can keep you, hold you back from going as far as God has called you to go. So you want to lay aside every hindrance and the sin that so easily ensnares us, so that we can then run with endurance the race that lies before us. Because this thing that Jesus is calling us to, it's a marathon, it's not a sprint, y'all. So if you're in a sprint, you can have a little extra something hanging on, but it's still going to slow you down. You're not going to get first place if you're not as light as possible, as focused as possible, and really executing on the plan, right? But just the same, it's not going to harm you as much as you got that 26.2 mile marathon in front of you and you've got 15 extra pounds hanging around your neck. It's going to cause you some big problems. So let us lay aside every hindrance. So let's focus. Let's focus on putting those things aside and not carrying them. So I think a lot of times we choose to just carry stuff with us that we could be letting go, because Jesus has already paid the price. Jesus has already made a way for us to lay aside that stuff. So let's do it. Let's lay aside the busyness, the overcommitting. Let's lay aside the toxic relationships. Let's lay aside the social media addiction, of just constantly scrolling and clicking and scrolling and clicking. So we want to lay aside every hindrance. All right, and then we're going to jump over into the next slide where we want to, and also the sin that so easily ensnares us. So first, it's a sin. What in the world is sin? It's missing the mark. It's a misdeed. It's a violation. It's really missing the mark of God's best for your life. It is violating the laws that God has put forth, the principles that God has laid out. So it is breaking the law of God. That is the whole idea of sin. And the interesting thing about it is that it easily ensnares you. So sometimes we think that we can just get away with stuff, that it's not going to be a problem. But no, it says right here that it easily ensnares us. And then, I mean, shoot, let's talk about that word ensnares. That it's like got all wrapped around you. All wrapped around you, holding you down like a big pile of chains, a big bear trap. Like you're not going anywhere. So in case it's a little bit hard for us to imagine here what we're talking about, I just thought it would be helpful to talk about some common categories of sin. We've got pride, we've got lust, we've got lies, we've got unforgiveness, we've got materialism, we've got greed. So, would you be so brave as to drop in the comments? Maybe there's one that you're like, oof, that's one right there that I definitely need to pay attention. Like maybe you've got a pride thing. That pride is kind of a weakness in your life, and maybe it's a lust thing, and you've got to really, really pray through, really focus to make sure that you're keeping yourself in line in the whole realm of lustful desires and that kind of thing. Maybe you're a liar. Maybe you lie a lot because you don't like having to face maybe the truth, or maybe it's an unforgiveness thing. Maybe it's a materialism thing. You just can't stop buying stuff. Like you got to have more stuff. And, materialism doesn't have to mean that you have a lot of money. You can have a materialism problem and be poor. Because a lot of times it's just that situation of your heart where you constantly want more, never satisfied, it's never enough. And so the materialism thing can be a problem for anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you make or don't make. And then greed is kind of the same thing. A lot of times greed, is somebody that does have a lot of money and they're greedy to keep it all. But I mean, greed really affects anybody, everybody, all around. So it's no respecter of persons by any means. How are we going to deal with this sin that so easily ensnares us, that traps us, that holds us down, that chains us down, that locks us up, that besets us, that sets us back? Like it doesn't let us progress. It doesn't let us move forward. What are we going to do? How do we handle it? Well, that's where this comes in as a to be continued. We're going to come back and check out verse 2 because we know that we are running a race with endurance. And that endurance is the stick-to-itiveness, it's a perseverance, it's a patient endurance. Patiently waiting through things, persevering through things. That's what Jesus is calling us to. So how do we do it? We need to abandon the hindrances and then also the sins that are so easily ensnaring us so that we can run that race. But how do we do it? Check us out in the next video and we will talk about it then. God bless you. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.
Hey, if you're getting value out of these videos, if you could just make sure you hit the like button, maybe subscribe to the channel. YouTube is suggesting a video right about here for you to check out. So go ahead and check out the next video. God bless.